What's up, YouTube? Got another video for you today, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about why I prefer vintage clothing or secondhand clothing, or some people might even call some vintage clothes like thrift shop clothes or you know, shit like that. But before I start the video, I'm going to be smoking a little bit of a Marlboro Southern Cut, so we can go ahead and get this ciggy lit up. So anyway, the reason why I, in particular, tend to be more fond of vintage clothes from, like, let's say the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even certain clothes from the 90s is, well, simply for the fact that, in my opinion, clothes, especially from like the 80s and prior, 9 times out of 10 was made in the United States and is of a higher quality. And when you go to like thrift stores or yard sales and shit like that, you can find garments for relatively cheap. For example, I have a black leather biking jacket that's styled like Marlon Brando's jacket that he wore. And I only paid $20 for that, and it was made in the United States as well. And I was able to pick that up at a thrift store in Fredericksburg, Virginia, a year or two ago, and it still fits me, so, you know. And nowadays, if you get one from like Scott, the company that actually made Marlon Brando's jacket that he wore in, what was the movie? I can't remember the movie that he was in, but he was the biker in that movie. Nowadays, you're going to pay almost $1,000 for a jacket like that, and I don't have $1,000 just to burn on a jacket. I would rather buy one secondhand that has been used, taken care of, but has been used, and you can get them for relatively cheap compared to buying something off the rack or buying something, you know, tailored or something like that. And pretty much anything that's a size medium or large fits me, so, you know. And again, it comes into, like, in my opinion, the quality. Like, vintage goods, in my opinion, especially vintage apparel that you wear, tends to be of a little bit better quality than stuff made nowadays. Like stuff from, let's say, Armani, or, you know, George Armani. I believe he was the one who designed the Miami Vice suit. And I actually have a George Armani suit from, I think it's 1979 or 1982, somewhere in there, that I was lucky enough to come across. Granted, it did have moth holes in it, but luckily my sister knows how to sew up moth holes and shit like that on wool, so she actually repaired the suit for me. And that suit was actually given to me because I got it 3 years ago, and the wide lapels and everything are now coming back, at least from what I've seen. Like, if you watch The Weeknd, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, in that video he wears a red suit that has the wide lapels, and that video, like the soundtrack and everything, like the instrumental of that video, is very, very 1980s synthwave. So like that stuff is starting to become more popular again. So, you know, it's kind of cool to have an original George Armani suit that was made in Italy. But granted, I only have the jacket. I don't have the pants or anything with it. But that, again, that suit 3 years ago was given to me at my local church thrift store, because they were like, well, ew, this is a Miami Vice suit. I mean, who wants to wear a Miami Vice suit? And I was like, well, you know, eventually wide lapels will come back, and they are starting to come back. So, but again, I think the main reason why I like vintage clothes over modern clothes is, again, just the quality, at least to me. Like stuff from the 60s and 70s seems to be much higher quality than garments made today, at least in my opinion. But that doesn't go for everything, but a lot of clothes and shit like that that I have were made in the 70s, and so, you know, and a lot of it I actually inherited from my father, because back when my father was my age, he did the same thing that I do, and look for, you know, secondhand clothes that are in really decent condition. And so that's how I wound up with a lot of my 1970s shirts, like that blue shirt that you've seen me wear in a couple of my cigarette review videos. Like, that's one I inherited from him. And shit like that. But yeah, I mean, just to be honest, again, like this shirt that I have on now, this one's from the like late 90s, I think, if I had to guess. So it's really not vintage in my opinion, but still it is secondhand. And again, to me, there is nothing wrong with having secondhand clothes that have been taken care of and have been taken care of properly, because I mean, there's still a lot of life left in them, in my opinion. So, you know. But yeah, that's my reason. That's pretty much my reason on why I prefer vintage goods rather than something that is made today, because a lot of clothes today is either made in like Taiwan or China or, you know, somewhere like that. And potentially not being made ethically either, especially if it's coming from China. So that's why I prefer to look for vintage clothing. Whenever I go into thrift stores, if I'm looking for, you know, like let's say a dress shirt or something like that, I mean, as long as it fits me and it's, again, was taken care of properly, I'll buy it. Like, for instance, I have a blue button-up dress shirt that has the button-down collar, you know, the little buttons where you can button down your collar. One of my shirts that I have, and I have 3 of them because I bought them, all 3 of them, at the same thrift store. One of them was actually made in North Carolina back in like the 80s or 70s. So, you know, it's nice to be able to find stuff like that, because, I mean, to some people, oh, it's an old shirt, or, you know, oh, it's, you know, out of style, but I mean, it's eventually going to come back into style. So, but at least that's my, you know, thought process whenever I'm, you know, in a thrift store or at a yard sale. You know, if I can find something that I will wear, and again, that has been taken care of, then I will purchase it. So that's going to be the video for today. I don't really have anything else really to talk about today. I'm still trying to get my hands on a pack of Camel unfiltered cigarettes. Haven't been able to get any yet, but when I do, I will have a video review of those cigarettes in the future. But anyway, if you like the video, like, share, comment, subscribe. Anything you do helps, and I'll see you in the next video.